City volunteers conduct flood assessment in Huangmei County, China. Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital's medical station in Dapu has been safeguarding residents' health. Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin our program today with a story from China. In June, heavy rains have led to flooding in different parts of China. Huangmei County in Hubei has been devastated by the flood. The displaced residents are staying at shelters. The farmers have lost their crops. City volunteers have conducted disaster assessment to understand the needs of the residents. Let's join them there. After rain stopped, the reservoir discharged floodwater and the town flooded once more. City volunteers rowed the boat again to evaluate the damages.
It is now flooded. The chickens and pigs have been washed away. They've all been flooded. There are about more than 100 people who did not evacuate. The house is in the middle of the water.
The flood has affected 16 townships and towns. We only have 16 townships and towns, and all have been impacted.
City volunteers are caring for 315 families in 7 hard-hit townships and towns in Huangmei County. Most of the residents have been placed in shelters.
There are 6 people in this family. Son, daughter, and grandson are outside. Only him and his 80-year-old mother. Temporarily staying with their relatives or friends. Some of them have brought 1 or 2 pieces of clothing. Some of them did not bring any clothes when they came out.
The heavy rain led to the flood that destroyed their homes, flushing away their economic incomes. Farmers have suffered tremendously.
We are unable to harvest crops. We have invested money and lost it. The fertilizer and seeds are all flooded.
It depends on the weather. If the weather is better, the situation might be better. Now we are trying to save the second rice. We cannot save the first rice. The flooded ones are useless.
Fortunately, the entire family is safe and sound. It is considered a blessing because they can still support each other.
A small gift about that symbolizing safety and auspiciousness. As long as we are safe, it is a good thing. The most fortunate thing is that the people are safe, right?
As the epidemic spreads globally, there's still a need for masks. City Canada chapter has donated 6,000 masks to Ending Violence Association to protect the staff members against the spread of the virus. Meanwhile, in Manchester, England, volunteers deliver fabric masks to residents of 4 senior apartments. Let's take a look. The stickers symbolizing safety are pasted on the package, and they represent the volunteers' best wish for seniors.
Although there is a safety sticker on the envelope, we still add another safety sticker on the mask plastic bag. This way, we are delivering more good wishes.
The supplies include tea bags, cookies, and fabric masks. Volunteers' consideration can be seen from the details.
为什么上面还要写中文？因为那个老人家不知道嘛，可以再洗，可以再重复用，所以你写了那就明白了。
City volunteers walked into 4 senior apartments in Chinatown and visited a total of 176 households. They either delivered the supplies personally or placed them in the mailboxes.
阿弥陀佛，祝福您身体健康。
Chi Chi sisters and other volunteers deliver masks to the residents of Annington Court, so the seniors are very happy. I'm very happy too. Thank you, Chi Chi.
我也非常高兴，感谢奇迹。
Volunteers also deliver epidemic prevention supplies to organizations. City Canada chapter has donated 6,000 masks to British Columbia Ending Violence Association.
Our programs were saying we need PPE. Some of them had been doing accompaniments to hospital for people that had been sexually assaulted or had been hurt by domestic violence. And they were told at the hospital that they couldn't come in because they didn't have PPE, are just immensely appreciative of your efforts and that they can continue to do their jobs to help people that have been victimized.
As the epidemic spreads, volunteers continue to donate epidemic prevention supplies to people in need. As the Navajo Nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, there was not enough room for families seeking quarantine spaces. Upon learning of their situation, city volunteers provided Jingsi floating beds to the residents in need. Let's take a look.
As the Navajo Nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, many multi-generational homes struggle to find room to quarantine family members with the novel coronavirus. After Tzu Chi visited the White Cone Village in June for a PPE delivery, they realized there's inadequate space for potential patients. Tzu Chi partnered together with the Navajo and Hopi Families COVID-19 Relief Fund to mobilize and provide a solution for the White Cone Village. On July 14th, the Navajo and Hopi Families COVID-19 Relief Fund provided tents next to patients' homes to separate positive patients from their family members. Tzu Chi provided 13 foldable beds for them to self-quarantine comfortably, along with a donation of PPE.
You just need to make sure.
200. Good. Okay, that's it.
They also included master's words in the package. Brother Francis read it for everyone.
The sentiment begins as our loved ones. It will be unbearable to see them suffer. Yeah, these are book cards.
The epidemic greatly impacted the life of many disadvantaged families. Indonesia city volunteers continue to deliver supplies to care recipients every month. They encourage one care recipient with brain tumor to open up her heart and face difficulties bravely. Let's meet this brave care recipient.
Indonesia Chi Chi volunteers sent aid supplies to Nomenita's home, who is a care recipient, through a local motorcycle delivery service. Nomenita, who suffered from brain tumor, underwent brain surgery as well as ear and nose surgery. The huge medical expenses and the discomfort arising from her illness made her fall into despair. It was volunteers' care that encouraged her to open up her long closed-off heart.
Relawan juga sehat selalu.
I hope the volunteers will stay healthy. May Allah bless them so they can help more people, such as myself and other care recipients.
Mendapatkan pertolongan dari Tzu Chi seperti Ita dan kawan-kawan yang lainnya.
Ya dengan kesehatan dan rezeki mereka insya Allah.
We have to keep healthy and praying more so that we can avoid falling ill.
Kita minta sama Allah begitu.
Nomenita worked in a boutique before. Affected by the epidemic, she has had no income for 3 months already. She just relied on the supplies and subsidies sent by volunteers to reduce her living burden.
Ya, memang kita sebenarnya saya juga udah telepon sama dia untuk memberikan semangat karena memang pada saat ini dia juga lagi.
We often call her to encourage her because of the current situation. She was left without pay by the company. So we have been encouraging her and also giving her plenty of support.
Memberikan dukungan supaya dimanapun kapanpun kita selalu kan kita sudah istiadan, kita satu keluarga, tetap kita memberikan support melalui apa saja.
Volunteer support is like a booster of confidence, allowing both mother and daughter to face life difficulties bravely.
During the epidemic, city volunteers in Myanmar started giving rice and life supplies to families in need. They encourage people to save a cup of rice on a daily basis, which turned out to be a lifesaver for other families. Volunteers in Yangon initiated a rice bank event for the poor, and 700 rice banks were filled up.
One by one, the rice banks are lining up in the venue where Tzu Chi volunteers hold activities. This is the first non-relief program initiated by Tzu Chi volunteers in Yangon after the pandemic. Many people from different places gathered here for a mission of love.
What we held today was a rice gift bag event. We didn't expect we would receive so many rice banks. About 700 rice banks were filled up, and nearly 250 people showed up to this event. I never thought that this would get such a response from everyone.
Pouring saved rice into the rice bag, This is the traditional giving habit of the Buddhist Burmese, like Dalin Tzu Chi, who was injured 5 months ago. Now has no income but can only depend on her daughter doing labor to sustain her family. They still have the habit of saving rice every day.
I am quite sad that I cannot work now, but gladly Chi had helped us, and that we can help those who have the same suffering as me with our rice saved.
Living with her daughter, Dalin Tzu Chi stayed at home to recuperate, so her daughter does all the housework. At only 12 years old, her daughter also remembers her reminders before cooking every day.
I thank Tzu Chi for this rice. I will start to save some rice a day in order to help others, and hopefully I can invite my friends to do the same.
Saving rice on a daily basis equates to having kindness on others. The healthy routine starting from Yangon had spread to other villages, turning every appreciative receiver to a kind giver.
In Jiayi, Dapu Township is located in the mountains and it lacks medical resources. As a result, many residents could miss the golden period to look after their health and save their lives. In 2002, Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital set up a medical station in Dapu to safeguard the health of the local residents. Here's our report. Taking off from downtown Jiayi, one has to drive for 1.5 hours to reach Dapu Township. At the local public health center, warmth and friendliness can be felt. To ensure the local residents do not miss the golden period for treatment, Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital set up the Dapu Medical Station for 18 years. Dr. Lin Yinglong is stationed here and serves without regret.
I've been here for 4.5 years. Until last week, I've sutured the wounds for 175 patients and helped 20 people who were bitten by snakes.
While the medical station is small, it has all the needed supplies to treat all kinds of patients.
I have to treat every person who comes here. Their illnesses include injuries, stomachache, heart problems. Some of them are urgent and some are lethal, so I've learned a lot here.
My home is about 6 kilometers from here. It is more convenient to come here. Dr. Lin is very mindful, and the nurses are also very good.
As Dalin Tzu Chi Hospital has set up a medical station here, our medical resources have increased steadily. Our residents can live more comfortably and safely.
The medical station safeguards the health of residents in remote regions and is a stabilizing force in the mountain village. Elderly people living alone are economically disadvantaged. When they're hospitalized, there's no one to accompany them. In Sanchong, New Taipei City, the 82-year-old Tzu Chi care recipient Mr. Hong lives alone and suffers from heart disease and metabolic problems. 5 or 6 city volunteers regularly take him to the hospital and even accompany him during his stay in the hospital.
Applying medicine his own ways, Mr. Hong, the retired owner of a trading company. He didn't listen to others, and the edema in his lower limbs festered for a long time. Tzu Chi volunteers gave him good advice, and he was finally willing to go to a hospital for treatment.
Because Uncle has his own opinion, he used to put flour on his wounds, which will make his debridement operation particularly painful. For this reason, a team of volunteers work in shift to look after him.
He's going to be hospitalized for surgery. Mr. Hong, who lives alone, has no family members to accompany him. Volunteers worked in daily shifts to take care of him.
Every one of our volunteers has a different work schedule, so we worked together and made a clear schedule, allowing us to all take turns caring for him.
The average age of volunteers caring for him are over 60. Apart from taking care of Mr. Hong's stay in the hospital, elderly people like him inevitably feel depressed when they fall sick. Giving encouragement is also a very important part of their work.
When Uncle was walking, he said it was very painful. But when he told me, his sister told me to be patient, so he said he was just patient and tried to endure it. Actually, it's very painful when doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy, but he just remembered to be patient.
When it came time to be discharged from the hospital, there were a lot of things to do. After going through the discharge procedures, there's a pile of daily necessities used in the hospital to be sorted and taken home. Volunteers worked together and quickly divided up the labor.
This is where Mr. Hong is coming back today to live. Yesterday, it was filled with stuff, which we sorted into things to keep and things to be thrown away. What is usable was kept, and what was not needed we threw away. This is his bathroom, which hadn't been used in a long time. We just cleaned it.
Mr. Hong is a care recipient that Tzu Chi has been looking after for more than 20 years. At that time, his marriage hit a rock bottom, and volunteers accompanied him through this turbulent time.
Thank you. 20 years ago, my wife left, and the youngest child was only 5 years old, and the third son was 15 years old. Volunteers came to look after me often.
I came here today because I feel that there are elderly people who need care. They raised us from childhood to this age. We should give back to them. They have no way to care for themselves when they are sick, so we need to help them.
Embracing an attitude of gratitude, one volunteer remembered that before her daughter died of illness, and everyone came to help her like one family.
From the time my daughter went to surgery to when she passed it was only a month time, and many city volunteers came, and the Dharma family gave me strength that I could not repay. So now I promise to do city work with my entire heart.
Comprehending the impermanence of life and treating others like work that needs to be done, the elders with no one else to look after them have become an important part of our society. Volunteers bring value and help to the elderly so they don't have to face the final years of their life totally alone.
In Changzhou, China, the Xie family of 6 came to the city from another province to seek a living. Life was not easy, and they often struggled. City volunteers started caring for them more than 2 years ago and have always wanted to help them with home repairs. Recently, they helped repair their home. Here's more.
The light is dim and the base and court are old. About 10 square meters of space holds space for 6 people to sleep and desk for 4 children. Tzu Chi volunteers have a transformation plan.
The length and width of this room must be measured, and then the size of the bed should be considered. How big the bed can be. If the bed is too wide, it will take up space.
After measuring the interior space, Tzu Chi volunteers immediately purchase beds, cabinet, and other furniture needed by Xie family. After completing the purchase, they start a renovation project.
I painted 1 wall, 2 walls, 3 walls. After painting, it feels completely new.
Once separated here, 3 beds can be placed here. A 1.2 meter bed can be placed here. There is also a 1.5 meter size for 2 children. Therefore, everyone has their own space.
After finishing the home, it finally has a new look. The faces of 4 children were full of joy.
In the original house, the rooms used to be dark. Later, Tzu Chi volunteers came to help me with renovation, and now it looks clean and beautiful. I am very grateful, thank you.
The dedication of the volunteers allowed Mrs. Xie to donate her own treasure. In the remodeled home, the children laughed and said that they were moving into a new home. Volunteers prepare vegetarian meals to accompany them to welcome a bright future.
Pek Ying is a handicraft master in Malacca, Malaysia. She has served at the Tzu Chi Continuing Education Center for 10 years. She incorporated the ideals of environmental protection into her classes. Let's take a look at her contributions. I have filmed and recorded over 150 videos using only a phone and a selfie stick.
In Malaysia, when the movement restriction order was in place, although face-to-face handicraft courses was restricted, Pek Yong continued her class on social media platforms.
I want to impact people through handicraft. Everyone is kept at home during this time, so my videos can provide a source of positivity.
Combining recycled materials with the art of handicrafts, Pek Yong served at the Tzu Chi Continuing Education Center for more than 10 years. Her courses inspire students to cherish things.
We have a lot of Yakult bottle. Because our students collected a whole bunch, our teacher uses these collected materials to create new items manually.
Selling her handicrafts in charity sales, Pek Yong always donates all her earnings to schools and charity groups.
She does plenty of charity sales a year. Basically, if she was called for an event, she would give in her full force.
I really don't care about the price of my crafts or the earnings from each day. What's most important is the value given by its buyers. If the item is useful to one, then the worth is beyond money.
Using her own hands to create a handicraft culture, while promoting community charity, Pek Yong continued to do good deeds.
This leads to my favorite saying, if the thing is right, just do it. Kaohsiung Environmental Protection Bureau has worked together with a toy doctor. The toy doctor repairs broken toys so that children will not discard them and will learn to cherish resources. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.